Hello. Hello, hello. Oop, this light's still on. Hello, hello. I I really should do the dishes in advance instead of during the pre-show section. That probably is more logical. Um, hey, I had an idea today instead of just grabbing stuff and head empty cooking. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that a good change of pace? um, the idea stemmed from the fact that I picked up some bell peppers from this one's even got some of the over ripening color on it from the farmer's market. I'm like, what am I going to do with these before they go off? Because they'll go off if I just leave them around. Um, well, we're going to stuff them. Because stuffed peppers are good, and I haven't had stuffed peppers in a while. But I'm not going to make the traditional pepper stuffing, right? We're still stuffing with rice. But, 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 uh, I saw mention about using risotto as the pepper stuffing. So that's what I'm going to try. Now, I don't have arboreal rice, so we're also going to substitute out sushi rice for our risotto, which works as far as I've ever been able to tell. Um, you can't use arboreal for sushi. It doesn't come out quite right, but you can use sushi for arboreal. So I don't get arboreal rice anymore. I don't see the point. Uh, so that's the plan today, which means I have to make a risotto to start, and then second step, make stuffed peppers. I got 3 of them because it's awkward to make one. I could probably eat 1.5 to 2, 1.5 probably. So I get 2 meals out of that, so that's good. They keep okay. So yeah, that's today's plan. That's this morning's plan. It's not really a very breakfasty or brunchy thing. I suppose I could put an egg in there, make it breakfast. That's how you make anything breakfast if you put an egg in it. Um, but yeah, that's our plan. So, step 1, risotto. And step 1 of risotto is stock. And I don't want to make a huge amount of risotto either because I don't want to have a ton of leftover. So we'll start by measuring out. I guess we're going to do half. I guess we're just going to do half a cup. No, we start by measuring out our stock, for which we need boiling water. So we start by getting out our handy dandy kettle, filling her up, and boiling some water. Make sure I've got enough. Sorry, gentlemen. Sorry, Tiny Whisk. Breakfast is whatever I eat in the morning. Welcome in. Typically, breakfast is coffee, and then I have lunch. So, we're going to boil up some water to get our stock going faster. Because I've got stock concentrate rather than pre-liquid. Get all my various things set up. Let's see, how much does this? So here's our stock for the day. 1 teaspoon per cup. Oop. 1 teaspoon per cup. If we're doing a cup and a half, or if we're doing a half a cup of rice, then we need 2.5 cups of stock. So 2.5 teaspoons of stock, which is hard to measure because the stuff is sticky. So I'm gonna eyeball it. Stock is gonna go in this back pan. Brand new, ooh, look at that shiny glossy top. Brand new jar of this mushroom base. Eh. This is going to provide pretty much all the salt we need. I'm only going to do 4 scoops because I couldn't really measure the scoops because the stuff is so thick and sticky. And I feel like I overshot on each one enough to make up for a 5th scoop. And then you can lick your finger off. And it tastes like very salty mushrooms. See if my board is dry enough to use. Yes. Just washed this board this morning. In the other pan, I'm going to start some butter because we need to get the do a 1.5 of butter. Get the butter melting, low, medium low. Because of course with risotto, it's more than just rice. There's stuff in it. And among the stuff, we need to fry up our shallot. We need to cook down our mushrooms. We probably should start with the mushroom, honestly. I picked these up assuming I would do something with them and didn't do anything with them. But they kept, so we're going to do something with them now. Oop, that one's trying to sprout. Hey, here's a flashback to that time when I spent 45 minutes slicing mushrooms. Let's do that again. That sounds like fun. No, we're not doing a ton of mushrooms today. We're doing some mushrooms, but we're not doing a crazy huge amount of mushrooms today. My water has boiled. I'm just going to dump that right into my pot back there with the stock and turn the heat on. Pretty sure that's more than I need. Oh, I should have measured it. What is 1 liter to cups? 1 liter is 4 cups. Okay, so I distracted myself to the point where I'm going to just add more stock to that pot, add more stock base to that pot rather than try to take the water out. Much easier to add more flavor than to add less water. So that we can have the thing at the right concentration. And then I'll just have to remember not to use all of it. Huh. Well, our first flub of the day. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Mincing up a couple of mushrooms. Ooh, that one's so picture perfect. Look at that one. Wow. Okay, well, chop it up. Oh, I know what happened to this one. It dropped all its spores. That's why the ribs are so clean. Take that muddy end off. Trust me, it's definitely muddy and not some other brown substance. Usually we get these mushrooms long before they've dropped their spores, which is why they still have the dark colored ribs. Like that. But that one was all opened up and spores dropped. Like a picturesque, perfect mushroom, but it means that it's an old mushroom. I don't think they dropped their spores in the basket, so it must have been there like that. This one has gone soft and is sprouting a little bit, so I'm going to throw that one away. That's not mold. That's the mushroom itself realizing that it's been picked and trying to lay down new mycelium to get reestablished. Because funny thing about mushrooms, the tissue that makes up the mushroom cap is basically just the same as the mycelium, the roots of the mushroom, but all latticed together. Um, so it can, in a pinch, re-sprout from any part of the mushroom, re-mushroomify. Okay, you're coming to a boil, so we will turn you down to a simmer, please. 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 Yes, okay, good. it was bubbling towards the top, and I wanted it to not do that. So I'm going to have some extra mushroom stock there, which is fine. I will figure out something to do with it. Try to keep all my cooking to the front side where you guys are this time. Shallot. And I probably want a pinch of salt in the mushrooms to help them cook down because we want to get the moisture out of them. Okay. Back over here. Got a small knife to, yeah, prep our shallot. I am still not convinced that shallots are so dramatically different from onions that you couldn't just use a small onion. Um, People keep telling me, oh, it's a milder flavor. I don't know about that. I think it depends on the shallot and it depends on the onion more than anything. But they've got this nice delicate pink. They're easier to dice really small, I find. So that's a selling point for them if you want just small little bits. It's kind of hard to mince up a full-size onion into little itty-bitty pieces. Whereas a shallot, the layers are thinner, so you have more ability to get a very small dice on them. My stock is too cold now. Supposed to be at a simmer. Okay, and this stuff just is going to cook down for a little while until the mushrooms are well shrunk up and the shallots have gone soft and translucent. We're on medium-low heat, so in theory this shouldn't be browning the shallots, although that wouldn't be the end of the world. Put that there. Put that on a consistently do this. You need to consistently get a little catcher plate to catch those things. What else does risotto need? It needs thyme and rice and some herbs. We're going to measure out our half cup of rice and have it standing by. Another thing about sushi rice versus arborio, sushi rice tends to come in those nice, convenient, resealable bags, and arborio comes in inconvenient packaging, like big square plastic things or non-resealable bags. So my vote is just get sushi rice and use it in place of any short grain rice. I should go get some fresh herbs from the old garden of herbs. Where's my little scissors? I have misplaced my little scissors. Huh. Well, I guess I have to get the big scissors. So we need some thyme. And I've got fresh thyme right outside. Quite a lot of it, actually. The thyme has been doing extremely well in the late summer. As long as I keep remembering to water it. So one very large sprig of fresh thyme. It's a little gnarly right at the bottom there. As you can see, this was kind of a shot out this way, and then it started shooting up. It shot out this way as a leader, and then it started shooting up all these feelers because the thyme bush has become so dense that it's struggling to find places to put new leaves because it's doing really, really well. You're supposed to not use the stem parts, but I find it often hard to get all the leaves off the stems. Especially when the stems are quite tender. So the main stem is easy to strip, and then these smaller ones become difficult to strip without getting bits of stem in there. So you got to be gentle and methodical. And I just threw the stem in. Threw the stem in the pile and the leaves in the garbage bin because I'm talking instead of thinking. Anyway, hopefully my fresh thyme this year does not abruptly give up the ghost when I bring it indoors for the winter, and I can continue having delightful fresh thyme for months to come. Thyme is supposed to be pretty hardy as a windowsill plant, but I've had terrible luck with it, and I don't really know why. I did just stumble upon, at our local thrift store, a working plant grow light for $3, and I grabbed it. So I might be able to preserve some of these guys through the winter using that. Because those grow lights get pretty pricey when you buy them new. Stem out there. This is why people buy dried thyme. It's just kind of a pain to use fresh thyme every time. Stir my mushrooms and shallots around and make sure they're not sticking or burning. Run the knife through the thyme just briefly to make sure those larger stems are broken up. And then we're going to throw all that thyme into that pot. Along with black pepper, I know you're supposed to use white pepper in risotto so it doesn't leave little black specks, but I don't care. Garlic. Oh, I didn't get the garlic ready. I did not pre-mash my garlic. So I guess I'm going to do it fast. One enormous clove of garlic, because the garlic clove is so enormous. It's so enormous that I don't think I could even roll it in my roller. Why is this garlic clove so big? Why is this one garlic clove so big? Well, I guess this is going to be a very garlicky risotto. One clove of garlic that's almost as big as the shallot that I had at the beginning. There's my microplane. We're going to microplane this guy. See, I probably didn't change the scene, so you can't see me microplaning it. except in the small. I've opted to microplane it directly into the heat rather than attempt to let it rest because everything else was coming along, so I just forgot to do garlic in advance. Ordinarily, I would say, and I say this time as well, for those of you following along, prep your garlic in advance, whether you're crushing it or mincing it or microplaning it. It will develop more flavor the earlier you crush it up before you put it on the heat. Okay. And then the fun trick, I am on the wrong scene. Oop. Oh, pardon me. You're supposed to take your rice and throw it in the pot dry. I often forget this step. But risotto recipes, at least the traditional risotto recipes, always call for this step. Put it in there and give it a little bit of time to toast in the just barest layer of butter that you've got going on the bottom there before adding any liquid. It does something to soften up the grains and improve the flavor. So sniffly all of a sudden. It's got to be the garlic. I got sniffly sneezy immediately after I grated up that garlic. Nice fresh head of garlic, so that may have something to do with it. Very, very potent stuff when it's at max power. And then we're going to add 2.5 cups. So I'm going to use my cup measure for this, but it doesn't live on that plate. It lives there. Now we have to baby risotto. You got to tend to it. I've also got to get my oven preheating. Preheat the oven because you bake stuffed peppers after you've stuffed them. So we're going to do that step as well, which means I kind of want my risotto to be on the al dente side because it's going to spend some time in the heat in the oven. Although getting a little bit of a crispy top might be fun. Might be a fun addition. Get that hot. And that should come up to a simmer as well. And I'm also not going to forget. I should probably do that first. I'll probably do that one first so I don't forget. So you're supposed to add white wine to a risotto as well. And I almost always forget and then have to add it late, and it doesn't have enough time to cook the alcohol off properly and end up with a slightly boozy finish. So I'm going to do that first thing. Quarter cup of white wine. This is a Chardonnay from the Cavett collection. Imported from Italy. Blah, blah, blah. It was inexpensive. Contains sulfite. I don't know. It was on sale. For my cooking wines, I go for the type of wine and then inexpensive. Not like bottom shelf box garbage, but inexpensive. Because you don't want to spend a ton of money on a wine that you are largely going to destroy the base flavors of. You still want it to be drinkable. You still want it to be tasty, but you don't want to go breaking the bank on. I can't. This pot is too shallow for what I want to do with it. Okay. So we need to baby this a little bit, but it doesn't need to be babied nearly as much as people will often claim. That's one scoop in. We need to keep track of that. There's going to be 5 of those. Like the super traditional way to make risotto is you literally stir it constantly, continually. They make things that you can clamp onto the pot to go around, so that your risotto is continually stirring. And you don't need to be quite that pedantic with it. You don't need to be quite that fiddly and perfect. I think, aside from the butter and the cheese, so aside from some dairy, we're making a vegetarian dish today. So I will stick to that and not randomly chuck in a big old hunk of bacon or fish or something. Uh, we got parsley. Trying to think. Trying to think about the construction of my plate, and you always want something green to break up the brownness. A lot of food tends to trend towards brown. Currently, we have that going on. That's 2. I'm taking a second small scoop because I can't quite fill it up with the first scoop because that pot is too shallow. Although I've gotten 2 scoops out of it, and that's a cup of my 2.5 cups. So I think I could transfer my hot stock to a measuring cup and then pour from there, which I think we're going to do. But you're supposed to keep it hot. Now I'm going to leave it in there and just keep measuring. Awkwardly, haphazardly. Because you're supposed to keep it hot so that it doesn't cool this down when you add it. And I'm going to wait and see how much I've got. I've got 3 peppers to work with. And I think this is going to be enough to fill 3 peppers and have a little bit left over. But I'm going to wait and see before I chop the tops off the peppers. We're in a little bit of a waiting phase. So I'm going to take this opportunity to catch up a quick dish over here in the sink while my risotto catches itself up on that last dose of stock. The first one tends to get sucked up quickly, and then the subsequent ones get sucked up more slowly because there's less starch available each time. And that's our goal, to have all that starch bind up with all of that stock and form a lovely, creamy result without any cream in it, although with a little bit of butter. And I think we're supposed to add a little bit of butter at the end as well. But I have the measuring spoons I just used and the microplane grater I just used, but also a pan from dinner last night that I didn't get caught up on. I did not take a picture of last night's dinner. I probably should have. It was kind of pretty. It was, I had frozen meat tortellinis, and I made a sauce for them out of part of a bell pepper, a shallot, anchovies, spinach, parsley, garlic, herbs, spices. I figured it should have some greenery in it. I have some spinach from the last time we used spinach here on the show that is getting wilty. It's not, spinach holds up. I'm always surprised at some of those greens, how well they hold up when you just have them in the fridge. Spinach is one of them. Spinach holds up quite well, surprisingly well for me. I can hear the risotto changing tone, which suggests that it's getting ready for another dose. Rinse the soap bubbles off my hands. That's what I mean by you don't have to necessarily baby it. The bubbles sound different as the risotto thickens. And you can see we've gotten to the point where I can go whoop, and there's a big open space, which means it's time to add more liquid. Do it like this. Oh, let's not do it like this. Let's do it like the hell. Okay, well that was a disaster. That was the most disastrous of plans. I guess stock is especially dribbly down the back, and it's also boiling hot, which is not helpful. Let's clean that up before it hardens in place, because the burners on both sides of it are on and hot, and it will dry up pretty quickly. I should have selected a different vessel. It's already dried in the middle there. I should have selected a different vessel for this, one with a spout. I Is it just me, or does that camera look slightly blown out? Pardon me, I'm going to touch the camera directly. That looks better. That looks better. Get all my various pots and pans cleaned up. With a dish like this, where there's a lot of sort of tending it, but not a ton of effort, gives you lots of time to catch up on dishes. Because you're always supposed to, and I often neglect it while I'm live, because I am chatting, and when I'm at the sink, nobody can see me. I'm way over here. I often neglect it for the show, but you really should always be cleaning as you go rather than leaving a big pile at the end. And since I don't do that, I often have a big pile at the end. And then since I step away, take photos, and then have to do all the post prep where I touch them up and post them around, the pile of dishes from the shows often bleeds into the next day, just because I don't come back to it. Once I've sat down and started eating. Good morning, Saizan. Welcome in. We're making brown food. Behold, its brownness. And then I was chatting about how I should be doing my dishes as I produce them instead of the way I have been doing them, which is not doing that. If my kitchen were set up such that, like a galley kitchen, where the sink was on the same side as the counter. Yes, we're making a mushroom risotto. We've got mushroom stock, diced up mushrooms and shallots, and thyme and black pepper, and rice. In our risotto, we are 3 scoops in of our 5 scoops from the stock into the pot. I think mushroom risotto is the most classic. It might not be. In my mind, it is. And of course, I'm cheating by using sushi rice instead of arborio, which, as I discussed at the very beginning, is just more convenient to purchase and can be used for more things. We're doing a 1 mushroom plan here instead of multi-mushroom. I could put a drop of truffle in there. I've got this truffle oil. I barely ever use it. I could put a drop of truffle oil in there. I'm going to pour it over a tiny scooper so that if I spill, I don't end up with the truffliest thing known to man, because this stuff is potent and a tiny, tiny bit goes a long, long way. Which is good because it's also expensive. So a couple of drops of truffle oil are going in there. I like truffle well enough. I'm not my favorite flavor. I know some people go nuts for it. I think it overpowers a dish pretty quickly. So I am of the opinion that we use it very sparingly. Now, I don't have fresh truffle. Maybe my opinion would change if I had fresh truffle, but that stuff is expensive. Okay, that's the 4th scoop. I feel like I might go over 5 scoops this time because I'm having a little bit of a tricky time measuring out the stock just because I can't get a clean, full scooper with it. But that's fine. I will taste the risotto. after we have incorporated the 5th scoop to see if the rice is doneness. And I'm aiming for a very slightly al dente because of the upcoming roasting phase, for which, thanks for reminding me, I need to get out a pan that can hold my peppers. Let's try this one. Can you hold 3 peppers standing next to each other? You can. Perfect. You can see on the small screen there. Perfect. Saizan, you are officially first today, and thank you for the moisten. Moist. What I need to do with that specific redeem is I can record myself saying moist, and then get the bot to tie that to the redeem, so it'll say it for me, and then all I have to do is drink. But that means working out that bot that I've been putting off. It just updated too, so everything just updated as far as I can tell, except for Streamlabs, which has been formally discontinued. If I make it an official redeem, like an automatic sound clip, I'll reduce the cooldown as well. And then our friend Felix can go nuts with it. Although I might not drink every time if it becomes excessive. I might raise the point value on it. We'll see. We'll see. Anyways. So this is ultimately going to be a pretty simple thing. Maybe I should make a side. Well, it's going to be in the oven for a little bit, roasting up. So I'll have time to think about a side at that point. Because this is basically a veggie and a starch. Because the pepper is the vegetable, and then the rice filling it is the starch. So this would go with a meat item, a protein item. Not necessarily a meat item, but a protein item. So I could do egg as a main thing. I've got some bacon, I've got some sausage. I could do a little plate of meats. Okay, we're going to put our final scoop in. And if this, once this is taken up, if it's still a little chewy, I'm just going to dump the rest of that in there. But our half cup of rice has now received 3 cups of liquid. No, 2 3/4 cups of liquid, and has swole up massively. This is one of the neat things about risotto. You end up using quite a small amount of rice. Sausage. I do have some sausages. I just picked up some sausages. they will cook pretty fast. So I will definitely get them going once this is in the oven. I just want to get my risotto, and then the risotto is going to come off the heat, cool down enough that I can scoop it to fill the peppers. We should also probably take the tops off these peppers to check them out. They're pretty fresh, but they might have those weird, gnarly, like baby peppers hidden inside them. Um, and of course, a knob of cheese is going to go in there. This is the end of a Parmesan wedge. And I think I'm going to just pulverize the whole thing, jam it in there, because I've got a fresh one ready to go. If you're using pre-grated Parmesan, the little baby peppers. I don't know what causes that. I'm always fascinated by the little baby peppers inside the peppers. I can't fathom why that's happening though. It seems like a evolutionary bad choice. You're making a second fruit that isn't helping your seeds at all. It's got to have something to do with the way they've been bred to be these big, chunky fruits. Because, like, wild peppers are more like hot peppers in terms of size. They're these little tiny things. Um, it's got to be something to do with the breeding that's caused them to develop baby pepper matryoshka dolls. Um, much like the breadfruit. I've been reading about breadfruit because we had an obsession with breadfruit. Because the one I opened up had no seeds. And I thought maybe it was just underripe, but I've read about it, and most common varieties that are eaten have no seeds. So the tree is producing the breadfruits for the benefit of humans who are picking them and eating them, because they're not even developing seeds. And then there's a different variety of breadfruit that grows massive seeds, which is also eaten, but it's eaten for the seeds. They're picked and the seeds are pulled out and roasted. By the way, I haven't gotten over my obsession. Oh, you thought sausage in there? No, this is a risotto. This is a risotto. I'm not adding sausage to the risotto. The sausage is going to be on the side. Otherwise, I'm going to stand and stare at you for a half hour while all this stuff roasts. The breadfruit obsession. The thing I've noticed about the breadfruit is I think I might be the only one buying it because the ones in the store get progressively softer as they sit there. And there doesn't seem to be new ones being brought in. And I'm not buying the ones that are mushy because I don't trust them. I don't know what mushy breadfruit is like. But my experience with cooking them, I'm treating them like potato, where if they're mushy, they are not good. And I have a spare. I've got one right now in the fridge. And I had originally left it on the counter. And it turns out they have quite a bit of natural mildew on the outside of the skin, which we had a couple of warm, humid days here, and it started growing real fast. So now it's in the fridge. I washed it off with soap. Uh, Now it's in the fridge, and I'm worried that it might go soft in the fridge, but it hasn't yet. Here it is. Oop, here it is. It's a little bit smaller than the first one. It's a little bit smaller than the first one. We'll come back to that guy. I'm absolutely loving those things. I just wanted to take a break from it and also give myself a chance to come up with new fun ideas. Uh, Parthenocarpy. Neat. Neat. Let's give you an appropriate response. There you go. If I was in chat and not doing the stream, or if I was not making risotto and had time, I probably would have been the one looking that up and educating the masses. But thank you for that. We've all done a learn today. Okay, that's looking not 100% soaked up, but really close. We're gonna give it a taster to test for the doneness of the rice. Nice and soft, very salty. Perhaps a touch too salty. I may have made the stock a little bit too concentrated. We did flub the stock right at the very beginning, and I added more. And I feel like I may have added too much and then cooked this down and reconcentrated it a bit. So it's a little bit saltier than I was going for. I'm not going to add the rest of that, though. If anything, I would add just plain water if I needed more liquid at this point, because it is rather salty. I think we hit a good balance on the truffle, because it's not punching me in the face with truffle. This just needs to be thickened enough that I can scoop it into those peppers. So yeah, we'll take that off the heat. We'll actually take it fully off the heat, put it here. Not melt our spatula any more than we already have. Okay, back over to the main event. These guys. We've got 3 of them of slightly different sizes. Oh, interesting. I figured they were edible because they always appear to be just the same material as the rest of the pepper. They're just kind of awkward to use. You dice them up if you're making a dice. I'm not going to be able to use them today. Start with the middle guy. If I find one in here, I'm not really going to be able to use it because I'm not dicing up the peppers. I'm using them as containers. They are the only fruit I know of that's got a giant open cavity of air in the middle. They came out perfectly. No baby pepper in this one. This one's a little bit deeper. I don't really understand the fruit having a big airspace inside of it either. That seems... It doesn't even seem wasteful. It just seems bizarre. That one came out nice too, and that one's starting to turn orange a little bit on me. Okay, okay. Check how much of the stuff I've got. We might save the small one. We might save the small one. We got to get these ribs out of here, though. The ribs are edible. They're just kind of spongy and a little bit bitter. In hot peppers, they are very spicy. These, of course, are sweet bell peppers. So unless something has gone wrong, they are not spicy. Every once in a while, I think you get a cross in the fields if they're planted too close to the hot kind, and you can get a little zing in your bell pepper, but it's pretty rare. Most likely to happen in a home garden, I think, where you've planted bell peppers and hot peppers near each other. Because turns out they're the same plant. They're all cultivars of Capsicum annuum. They're all the same species. Gotta be careful when you're doing this not to puncture the bottom, or your stuff will dribble out. Okay. 2 nice, neat pepper hollows. And then we're going to gently remove this seed mass. Peppers are one of the most perfect cultivated fruits, I think, because we specifically, deliberately, and take effort to remove the seeds when we use them, which is the point. Like for things where we just eat the seeds or pulverize the seeds, we're kind of defeating the evolutionary purpose of fruit. For peppers, we dig the seeds out, and if we were just out in a farm, or even just out in the wild, dig the seeds out, throw them on the ground, new peppers grow. The pepper's gotten what it wanted. And so have we. We've gotten the fruit part. It's perfect. It's perfect. I don't know. That was just musing. I was just musing. Let's see. If I'm only doing 2, I might not need the whole big pie plate there. That still only wants. That still wants 3. Tell you what, let's see how much I've got before I commit. I should grate my Parmesan into the risotto as well before I do this because it's supposed to be in there. Okay. And just a little tiny knob of it left over for topping it. All right, I'm on the wrong angle again. You can't see. I'm also on the wrong burner, so you can't see. I just grated quite a bit of Parmesan very thinly with my microplane so that I can get it incorporated into my risotto. Parmesan aids with the thickness, aids with the flavor, aids with the creaminess. We've already got a little bit of butter in there. And then I've got a tiny little knob of it. Here's our tiny little knob of it left that I'm going to use to top these things. Then we can get them in the oven and we can attempt our next phase. That made it a lot creamier. Mm. It sure is darn tasty. Rinse that scooper off, and I'll use this scooper. to fill these beasties. Have I drifted down again? A little bit. We'll see how much I've got, and then we can judge whether I want that third one. The third one is the smallest one. I think I don't have enough for that. Yeah, I'm going to stick with 2 and just pack them in. I will save the remaining pepper for something else. Bell pepper never goes to waste in my house. I've always got something to do with it. Beautiful, beautiful. I will just lick up the remains on my own time rather than try to awkwardly scrape them out. Now, of course, I don't have enough to fill this pan, so I guess I'm just going to have them side by side. I'm worried that they're going to fall over. I'm also going to, oops, take them out of there briefly. Oh, they're heavy. They're dense. They're a real meal. But we're going to take them out of there briefly because I'm going to grate the cheese on the top. I don't want a bunch of cheese laying in the bottom of that pan where it can burn. And the risotto is done and cooked. So this roasting step is just to cook the pepper and melt the cheese. Then we take the little knob and we just eat it. Nice. Nice. Ooh, a ramekin in the middle. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. That one's too big. That one works. That's why I keep you guys around. That is the only reason I keep you guys. No. Figure out if they're going to tip, which way they're going to tip. So small ramekin. I just recently picked up small ramekins because I have for a long time struggled with only having one size of ramekin. Cheesy. These guys, the big ramekins. And I was at Goodwill, as I frequently am, and I found a set of 4 little baby ramekins from Pier 1, the business that went out of business. I think they're super useful. I love them. The fact that they're oven safe is a big plus, but I use them as like bowls for dip. You may have seen on, what day was that? The last time when I made that sour, whatchamacallit, the dip for the fritters, the dip for the boulettes. I put that in one of these little ramekins. The sauce. Yes. I love that it's just called sauce. So we're supposed to put the little hats on these guys, but I also cheesed them up. So I'm going to put the little hats on them as well. Let's get this in the oven, and then I can work on those sausages. Okay. Set your timer for 30 minutes. I've got my timer going. Let's get out a. This is going to be simple. A simple side dish. Pan heat. Stove. Pork sausage links. Grocery store brand. Pre-spiced. Nothing special. Reduced price. Used by today. Give them the sniff. They smell fine. Reduced priced meat should always be given a sniff test in my experience. Oh, and although they are oily in their own right, they won't render immediately. So I'm going to start my pan with a dollop of reserved bacon grease. When you make bacon, save the grease. It keeps just as well as any of your store-bought oils, hardens up into a solid in the fridge, and gives a flavor, a nice flavor that isn't just neutral oil flavor or butter for things. It gives you a savory, smoky, savory flavor in addition to the fatty. Maybe we'll grill some onions in there too. Onions grilled in bacon fat is gorgeous, beautiful. Probably scooped a little bit too much there, but oh well. But oh well. Let's see. This pan is getting set aside for cleaning. This one is also going to be set aside for cleaning, but I want to snack on the residue a little bit before I do that. Delicious, delicious risotto. I'm certain that I've never made risotto correctly. I'm certain that I've never made it exactly correctly, that I've never made it the perfect traditional risotto way. But the way I make it is mighty tasty and mighty easy. And it just takes time. It's purely a time thing. Because supposedly risotto is like one of the challenging things. You test a chef by their ability to make a traditional proper risotto. Let's get some sausage links in here. I don't know why they're called sausage links when they are clearly not linked, and by the look of them, have never been linked. Because they got these like just sort of pinched cut ends that look like they were just exuding a tube and chopping. Um, links are meant to have been linked, like twisted off and linked. These don't even look like they've been cured. They just look like they're fresh. So I think we're misusing the word links. And I'm going to have lots of them because this is also my lunch, and I haven't had breakfast today. So I'm going to make 5 of them for myself and save the remainder. God, it feels so nice having just a plan for cooking. A nice chill Saturday morning cook. This is what I want for a Saturday morning cook, where everything works. I've got time to tidy up a little bit. Food comes together. Things are just nice. I can save the high pressure nonsense cooks for the evening slot. And Saturday morning can just be chill, chatty. I should get my coffee, actually. Coffee? I left you in the other room. It's been in the other room for an hour. It's ice cold. It's a cold brew. Uh, I don't know. Maybe. You have to wait and see. Probably not, but who knows? I'm just saying I don't want those days to, or I don't want Saturday mornings to be high stress. Not necessarily that I want every Tuesday to be high stress. But yes, we'll be making our own caviar on Tuesday, so it's going to be high pressure. I am kidding. I am not making my own caviar. We're not bringing in a live sturgeon and gutting it here on the show. And also, curing caviar takes days, and you can ruin it and flush thousands of dollars down the drain. I have a plan. I do have a plan. I've already planned it out. I suppose there's no secret. I'm intending to make a stuffed manicotti uh, dinner spread. I need to come up with a veggie side for it because we're going to actually have to construct proper plates. I can't just make one thing and call it a meal. And thank you. Interesting as always. That's quite the compliment. I find that sometimes my cooks are not terribly interesting, and I'm worried that it's real dull watching. So flattery will get you everywhere. I have a little bit of coffee. I drink my cold brew out of the jug like a pleb, um, because I'm the only one drinking it. These guys should be, yeah, they brown pretty fast. We need to turn them multiple times because they were raw, so they need to cook through. They're very skinny, they're very thin sausages, so they can be cooked through. This is the benefit of this kind of sausage. These little breakfast sausage links, again, not linked. Um, they're thin enough that they can be cooked through from raw just in the pan. Thicker sausages, I would not trust to do that. I would always boil them first or bake them or some sort of slower, even heating to get the middle cooked before I brown them off. Around here, you see people do that with bratwurst a lot. They'll boil them in beer before putting them on the grill to make sure that they're cooked through to the middle and to give some of that beer flavor before you throw them on the grill and get them all crispy and brown on the outside. But little skinny guys like this, you can go from raw as long as you're not hitting them with crazy high heat. We're on the same heat I was using on the risotto, so medium low. This front burner is rather hot for this pan, so they are probably cooking on the outside a little bit faster than I would prefer. So we could maybe take it down a tick. But yeah, I picked these up this morning because I went out this morning to grab the mushroom stock because I was out of mushroom stock, and I decided that fish stock was not the appropriate stock base for a mushroom risotto. I almost, this was a possibility. This was a possibility today. I almost made swordfish risotto, or potentially swordfish steak with risotto. Somebody may or may not have found cheap swordfish. And not last day cheap swordfish. I asked, and they said, oh, we ordered too much, or we were sent too much, so it's on a discount. What, you don't like swordfish? Swordfish should be eaten in moderation, always, because it is an apex predator in the ocean. It's going to have some mercury in it. It's unavoidable. So, if you're pregnant or nursing, avoid apex predator fish like swordfish and tuna and shark. And also moderate your intake of them so as to not give yourself tons of extra mercury. And if you're sensitive to mercury, maybe don't eat them. Mercury. And that's a problem because humans made it a problem by polluting everything with mercury. Yay! We can't ever just make things not terrible, can we? Start a new political party, the Let's Make the World Not Terrible Party. Ooh. Well, why didn't that pop up? Huh. Well, thank you for the sub, somebody. My sub count just went up by 1, but I didn't get a notification that somebody subscribed. Weird. Thank you, nebulous number in the void. I'm surprised it didn't pop up as any kind of like thing. It's supposed to pop up in chat and be like, somebody subscribed. Um, I just noticed the number was up by 1. So thanks, mysterious sub from the void. Huh. Well, I guess I'm doing something right. I'll remind, a good time for a reminder. We're halfway through. It is still Subtober. Subscriptions to your favorite channels are on a discount this month, and the discounted part is eaten by Twitch, not the streamer. The streamer receives the same payout. Uh, if you're on a free viewing, I still appreciate it. Having you be here is more than I could ask for, really. I also am quite light on ads. Twitch has been pushing ads, has been encouraging its creators to increase the ad playing. And it has been doing so by increasing the payouts for ads by quite a bit. So I haven't adjusted mine yet, but that may be a thing that I should do just to keep up with the times. But yeah, so yeah, Twitch isn't all. Twitch is a subsidiary of Amazon these days, which is why you get a free sub with your Amazon Prime. And Amazon has introduced a bunch of not so nice things, but Twitch still has some quite nice things that they brought with them from when they were independent, such as Subtober. These are looking pretty brown all around. I'm going to give them more time than I think they look like they need, just to be sure that they're cooked through to the middle. Shining Spear. Or should I call you Mr. Underscore? Welcome in. Snossages. They're snossagey. The main event, today's main event dish, is currently hidden away in the oven. This is our side dish. We're having a side dish of meat because our main dish is vegetable starch. Our main dish being mushroom risotto stuffed bell peppers. Which I should take a peek at. How you doing in there, bud? Oh. Oh. But yes, I figured I have some downtime because they need to bake for a little bit to soften up the pepper part and get the cheese all melty. So I figured I would add a protein element. So what we have here is, I did not make my own sausage links. I was discussing why they're not links either. They just look like they've been sliced off. But we have store-bought sausage breakfast links being fried in reserved bacon fat. which is the perfect choice for bacon fat. And I'm cooking these things the way I like them. That is, cooked through the middle, but also my favorite part of breakfast sausage is the browned, crispy parts. So when I see people just browning them a little bit and then they have that gray side, I'm like, finish cooking them. So these guys are going to my taste, which is almost shriveled up from how browned they are. Because I like that crispy brown outside. The peppers are in there for half an hour, and we're currently 20 minutes into it. So the sausages are going to be done before the peppers are, for sure, at this rate. The sausages are nearly there. We didn't end up using this plate. When I had 3 peppers, I still have 3 peppers, but when I had 3 peppers and I thought I was going to use them all, I got out a pie plate. But I ended up not using it. So I guess we'll put that away before I get something on it. And I should put away those leftover mushrooms. Pick out any soft ones. They've been in there for a little bit. I bought them several days ago. I'll probably end up trying to have them for dinner or maybe for breakfast tomorrow. That one went soft. Okay. Yes, this is the kind of mushrooms. They are cremini. So marketing has people fooled in general. Button mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, and portobello mushrooms are literally the same kind of mushroom. Some of them come up, and baby bellas are also the same kind of mushroom. Some of them come up brown at the beginning and look like this. Some of them come up white at the beginning and look like the white buttons. They all turn brown when they get big. And that's the secret of these mushrooms, and that's why those kinds of mushrooms all taste exactly the same, because they literally are the same mushroom. So when I talk to people about mushrooms, I often have to be like, what kinds of mushrooms have you tried? Because often mushroom discussions will open up with, oh, I'm not really a big fan of mushrooms. And then people will have tried, oh, I've tried 4 kinds of mushrooms, and it's the 4 different names for the same mushroom. I'm like, okay, well, you've only tried one mushroom. Nope, this was store-bought. I'm out of Fox Familiar Farms' mushrooms. And I believe his mushroom cave is on a cleaning cycle, so it might be a bit before we get. He's got to disinfect it regularly to make sure that it doesn't get other funguses, because obviously it's a room that's optimal for growing fungus, which is great for growing the fungus that you want, but it also means it's great for growing other funguses that are just in the environment. So you get black mold, white mold, mildew, green stuff. So the room has to go through a disinfecting cycle so that it doesn't become this gross cave of death. And so that those molds don't get into the mushroom blocks that he's growing. I'm going to call those sausages done. So we moved them off the heat. We've got about 5 minutes left on my peppers. Again, I'm pretty much just cooking them until the pepper part is softened on the outside, because the risotto was already hot and cooked. And when I peeked 5 minutes ago, the cheese was already melted, and the little hats were looking soggy. So we're definitely just about there. I could take a peek again. They're looking pretty good. going to have to use the tongs to get them out of there. Ooh, it smells like pepper in there this time, which is a sign that they're probably cooked. Um, I did not visit our farmer's market this morning. If I had, I probably could have picked up some local farmer's market mushrooms. There's a mushroom guy who does. Our farmer's market has a weird rule where you're not allowed to sell forage at the farmer's market. So even though the mushroom guy does forage mushrooms and has them for display, he's not allowed to sell them, which is frustrating because he's got some really nice forest, like local forest mushrooms. But you can't get him from his, under the table or at his shop. I've actually got his. Or did I lose the card? Oh, I think I lost his card. I had it on the fridge here. I will have to go back and visit the mushroom guy and pick up a new business card so that I remember where to go to get those mushrooms. Um, but yeah, we are in the home stretch. I need a plate. Select a plate. Uh, Audience, help me select a plate. Our choices are the typical choices. We've got the big white ones. We've got the square white ones. We've got the white ones with the blue rim. We've got the brown ones. And we've got the brown ones with the olive pattern on the outside. Um, Again, my food is a little bit brown, so the brown ones might not be ideal. Uh, White with the blue rim. That's this guy. I've also got clear blue glass plates and a bowl. I don't like the look of them on camera because of the transparency. But that might just be a personal preference. I've never actually tried doing a formal plating with them. 2 minutes remain. It's going to be lunchtime for me, but should I serve this with a glass of wine? I think I should. I don't have champagne, or I could make a mimosa. But let's pour a glass of wine. Apparently, I have white wine glasses, and I don't have any red wine glasses. I was recently learning about wine glass shape, and apparently it matters for the different kinds of wines. Like each kind of wine has its own specific shaped glass, which seems excessive to me. But what do I know? Um, 1 minute remains. Dawn of the final day. Let's actually. I'm going to bring my board back. Yeah, I use the same glasses for pretty much everything as well. But I've recently learned that supposedly there's some kind of difference. Build our little pile of sausages on the side there. So for reference, this glass is taller and narrower, but not quite as tall and narrow as a champagne flue and a red wine glass is shorter and has a wider fat part, and you're supposed to fill it up less high so it has more width and more airspace in the top, which has something to do with the aromatics in the red versus the less aromatics in the white. I could probably do a whole series on learning to be a sommelier. Well, that's pretty good wine, huh? Considering this was an $8 bottle of wine, that's a decent wine. Wabbit Wadger Wabbit PhD. That's quite the name. Welcome in. You're just in time because the timer, my timer, has rolled over just a second ago. And we are going to extract our main course from the oven. There they are. Oop, turn that oven off. Perfect timing. Do you go by Wabbit or Wadger? But perfect timing with our ooey gooey stuffed peppers. Look at that cheese stretch. They're looking good to me. Again, the filling was already cooked. It was just a matter of getting the wabbit. Okay. Oh, a friend from Discord. I have been posting my pics in Discord in an attempt to get people buzzing, but I suppose I should include a comment that I make my food live on stream. I've also got a Twitter where I do live notifications and post photos of my food, including some things that I cook off stream. So those are our peppers. They're out. But you're just in time for the plating. I just need to get this over there. They're a little bit soft, so I don't want to just pick them up and carry them across the kitchen. Let's get off the stove. Let's actually get off the side cams too. But they have a good cheese stretch, so I'm pleased with that. Which one? I'm only going to serve one of them on the plate. Which one do you think we serve? This one's taller and narrower. That one's shorter and squatter and has the yellow. They both got a nice toasty, roasty exterior. This one? I mean, it looks best from the top. I think the other one might have nicer shape. I want to get them out of the pan. Get that guy out of the middle. Oop. The pepper juice leaked out the bottom and burned. I guess we're going to do a soak on these guys. I think they're equally cheesy. They sure are soft. They're hard to get out of there. They're hard to get a grip on. I think I need to get under them with a spoon. I think I need to get underneath it with a spoon. I'm going to attempt to pull this one out first, because I've already squished it twice. Oof. Oof. Okay. They still stand up on their own. They're just hard to get a hold of because they've gone squishy. And they are leaking at the bottom. At least that one is. If this... Oh. The pan is thin enough that it's already cooled off to the point where I can touch it. The peppers haven't, but the pan is. The peppers are still quite hot, but since the pan is cool enough to touch, I think I can just leverage. Oh, that one's easier to get a hold of, too. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, the pan is easy to deal with. And now that they're out, they're easier to handle. Benefits of using a thin sheet metal pan instead of a big, heavy thing is the metal cools off very quickly once you take it out. Get this guy. Ha, okay. Okay. There he is. Save the other one. It's not the fanciest plating in the world. I can zhuzh it up a little bit with a sprig of parsley. Secret to making anything fancy. Garnish the plate with a little bit of fresh parsley. Curly parsley for extra points. I don't have any tomatoes on hand right now. I have 0 tomatoes. We cannot do a tomato slice. You know what we could do? You know what we could do? Do I still have that? Did I run out of that? I'm only going to tell you what it is if I have it. If I don't, it's going to be a forever mystery. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's a forever mystery. No one will ever know what the thing is that I was just looking for. Oh well. Move the sausage. Well, when I take a picture of it, I take a picture from an angle, not straight down. I understand there's a bit of a gap there, but from the front, you can't really see that gap. And if I move the sausages a lot, I'll leave a greasy spot. So I'm going to take some pictures, and then we're going to dig in. Then we're going to dig in, and I'll talk about it. One of the secret elements of food plating and of fancy dining is the plate has a front and a back, and the chef tells the wait staff which side of the plate. Oop, my glass of wine in this picture. The chef tells the wait staff which side of the plate faces the customer when serving, because it's important to the dish. And this plate definitely has a front and a back. It's casting a hefty shadow. The pepper is very tall and wants to cast a shadow. And we have another trick here that's going to, I think, make the plate look nicer as well. But I wanted to take some pictures before I cut into it either way. We're going to move the parsley to the side. And I'm going to cut this guy straight down the middle. We're going to cut this guy straight down the middle. Use the hat to keep the back up a little bit. Because then it looks bigger on the plate. Especially from the front. So we take it back for more photos, and then I'll take some bites and tell you what I think of this thing, this concoction, this madness. Okay, that should be enough photos. That's the other secret to food photography. Take 1,000 photos. One of them will be in focus. Here we are. Okay, we're back. And now I will tell you all about it. We've gotten photos of it in 2 forms. And we will dive in. Just in time for lunch, too. It's just past noon for me. So my timing is perfect as well. Mmm. 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 You couldn't see me. Thank you for the moisten. Already a little bit moist, but I'll get to that in a sec. Mm. Oh, thank you for the moisten. We're going to do that with wine. Moist. That's a great combination. This is a great combination. The normal stuffing for peppers that I'm familiar with is it's more like a Spanish rice, so it's paprika, tomato, like spiced rice with little bits of pork sausage in it, which I think is what Bookwoman had in mind earlier when we were talking about the sausage. This, I absolutely love this. The risotto, as I mentioned when I was making it, the risotto ended up a little bit too salty. The pepper, the completely unseasoned bell pepper, has balanced out the saltiness of the risotto. The risotto is this rich, creamy, savory, unctuous texture, and then the pepper is just south of tender, so it's still got a little bit of like tender crispness to it. They go together super well. I really love this. I wish I had just a tiny, if I hadn't eaten the last little knob of that cheese, just a tiny grating of Parmesan on the cut side, because there's some mixed in, and then there's that top coat. But I think this is an excellent combination, and it's really well seasoned. I don't even think I need to add any pepper to it. Let's taste these guys. I think these are going to taste like standard breakfast pork sausages. They smell like bacon. They're cooked through the middle. They're nice and crispy on the outside, the way I like them. They smell like bacon. They taste just like you'd think they would, given that they are breakfast sausage links, American-style breakfast sausage links. If you've ever had a hotel breakfast, it's just these guys. Except they're not floppy on the outside. They're nice and crispy all the way around, which is the only downside I see to those hotel continental breakfasts is they don't ever cook their sausages enough. This is great, and I've got a whole other pepper. This is going to be plenty for me for one. The risotto is very dense. This whole plate is quite savory. So the extra pepper is going to have to go into a storage container because I am definitely not going to need that one for today. I'll have it as a leftovers, possibly for breakfast tomorrow. Since dinner today is going to be swordfish, because I did actually buy the discount swordfish. There's a $3 swordfish steak. How could I say no? I need a container to contain that pepper, though. That's the issue. It's a very tall pepper. I've got other containers with stuff in them that I just need to sort of get around to clearing out. Well, thanks for coming by. Thanks for showing up. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to find a container to put that remaining pepper in on my own time instead of on your time. I'm going to ship us off to somebody who's live. Let's go see Shelly. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for showing up. Thank you, new faces. We've got new faces. We had a mysterious sub showed up at some point, so that was exciting. I'm still on my same schedule of Tuesday afternoon, evenings, and Saturday mornings. We have dinner guests this coming Tuesday. I will be cooking for them. I don't believe they are going to be appearing in the background, but they might poke their noses in at some point. So that would be an exciting twist. But it means I'm going to actually be making enough food for 3 and not just having a bunch of leftovers for a change. So that'll be an interesting twist. Other scheduling is still fixed on what I've been doing. I haven't come up with any new scheduling things. If you've got my emotes, spam my emotes at Shelly when we get there. And then I'm just going to bring us up to my face while we wait for the countdown, which is nearly there. Shelly is currently playing Minecraft, classic Minecraft. I believe she's on a server.